Namaskar, good evening. You are watching Rajya Sabha television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with News Tonight. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. The country's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna, conferred on former President Pranab Mukherjee, social activist Nanaji Deshmukh and musician Bhupen Hazarika. Deshmukh and Hazarika conferred awards posthumously. President Ramnath Kovind addresses the nation on the eve of Republic Day, urges first-time voters to exercise their franchise in the upcoming Lok Sabha polls. Also says the Indian model rests on a tripod of diversity, democracy and development. On National Voters' Day, President Ramnath Kovind appeals to the people to participate in the voting process. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu says people's participation key for strengthening democracy, while Prime Minister Narendra Modi says every vote makes the democratic fabric stronger. New 5-judge constitution bench constituted to hear the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid land title dispute in Ayodhya. Bench to hear case next on January 29th. And India and South Africa pledged to deepen strategic cooperation in talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Cyril Ramaphosa. Agree on a result-oriented partnership that will benefit people in both the countries. Our top focus tonight, Bharatiya Jan Sangh leader, late Nanaji Deshmukh, legendary singer Bhupen Hazarika and former President Pranab Mukherjee have been conferred the country's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna. Nanaji Deshmukh and Bhupen Hazarika have been conferred the award posthumously. Pranab Mukherjee was served as the president from 2012 to 2017. In a Twitter message, Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed Nanaji Deshmukh's stellar contribution towards rural development. He said the late social activist showed the way for a new paradigm of empowering those living in our villages. The Prime Minister added that Nanaji Deshmukh personifies humility, compassion and service to the downtrodden. In another message, the Prime Minister expressed happiness with the Bharat Ratna being conferred on Bhupen Hazarika. He wrote that, and I quote, "The songs and music of Bhupen Hazarika are admired by people across generations. From them radiates the message of justice, harmony and brotherhood. He popularized India's musical traditions globally." The Prime Minister was also delighted with former President Pranab Mukherjee being bestowed with the highest civilian order. He wrote on Twitter, and I quote, "Pranab Da is an outstanding statesman of our times. He has served the nation selflessly and tirelessly for decades, leaving a strong imprint on the nation's growth trajectory. His wisdom and intellect have few parallels." And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has also congratulated the Bharat Ratna awardees. And for more on this, we'll go across to Akhilesh Suman, our correspondent, who is joining us over the phone line. Akhilesh, the Bharat Ratna announcement has broken the tradition this time. Have there been multiple awards earlier? We are trying to connect with our correspondent Akhilesh Suman to get more information on this big development of the day. Bharatiya Jan Sangh leader, late Nanaji Deshmukh, legendary singer Bhupen Hazarika and former President Pranab Mukherjee have been conferred the country's highest civilian award, Bharat Ratna. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has congratulated them. In a Twitter message, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed the contributions of the individuals. And President Ramnath Kovind addressed the nation on the eve of the 70th Republic Day on Friday. The President began the speech by conveying his heartfelt wishes to people and said the day was an opportunity to remember the ideals of democracy. He said all citizens of the country have the opportunity to place their faith in the ideals of freedom, equality and brotherhood. The President added all citizens have an equal right to the resources of the nation, irrespective of what community and religion they belong to. Highlighting the significance of the next Lok Sabha polls, the President said an election is not just a political exercise, but a collective call to wisdom and action. He urged the first-time voters to exercise their franchise in the upcoming Lok Sabha polls.
This year, the people of India, each one of us, have another responsibility of voting in the general election and electing the 17th Lok Sabha. The ideas and idealism of our democracy will come into full force. Once more, as we do every 5 years, voters will deliver their verdict and write their destiny. This year's election will be the first when voters born in the 21st century will contribute to electing a new Lok Sabha. An election is not just a political exercise. An election is a collective call to wisdom and a collective call to action.
And President Ramnath Kovind also said that India is at the doorstep of eliminating extreme poverty for the first time in memory.
India is at the doorstep of eliminating extreme poverty for the first time in memory. A program of universal and equitable health care has begun to be rolled out. Affordable medicines and medical devices and implants are becoming a reality for more and more sections of our people. A greater number of Indians than ever previously have access to proper housing with modern sanitation and electricity. Connectivity in the form of ports and inland waterways, upgraded railways and new metro services, national highways and rural roads, cost-effective air services to the interiors of India, and of course, the surge in mobile phones and data access is bringing us together as never before. India has been united and integrated. Now it is being networked. Leapfrogging technologies and leapfrogging enlightenment are empowering our farmers and equipping our soldiers. They are enabling our traditionally deprived fellow citizens and educating our daughters and our sons. They are exciting the entrepreneurial energies and the infectious startup culture that has made our younger generation and our India the focus of world attention and admiration.
President also asserted that India belongs to every group, community, religion, identity and individual, as pluralism is its greatest strength and example to the world.
This country belongs to each of us and to all of us, every group and every community, every region and every identity. It belongs to every citizen and every individual. India's pluralism is its greatest strength and its greatest example to the world. The Indian model rests on a tripod of diversity, democracy, and development. We cannot choose one above the other. We must have all three, and we will have all three.
The President added that the best indicator of social change in India is change towards gender equality and providing equal opportunity to women.
The best indicator of social change in India is change towards gender equity and towards providing equal opportunities under conditions of equality to every girl child and every woman. In my experience, when given the chance, our daughters tend to not just equal but outperform our sons in the classroom. Young women in our country are moving ahead in every field, from academics to the creative arts, from sports to the armed forces. There is no stopping and no hesitation in this process. It is the route to India's future.
The President said our nation has come a long way, but we have to go further. We have to set new norms of goals and achievements.
Our republic has come a long way, and we must appreciate how far successive generations have brought us. Equally, we must appreciate that our voice is far from complete. There are still waters to cover, still gaps to fill, and still tears to wipe. We have to recalibrate our yardstick of achievement and success from quantity to quality, from a literate society to a knowledge society, from a nation that has room for all segments and all communities to a family that invokes, encourages, and celebrates the uniqueness and potential in each person, each daughter, and each son.
And with that, we'll slip into a very quick break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Today, we'll take a closer look at the draft Immigration Bill 2019.
To look after your citizens for their welfare and make sure that they grasp the right opportunities, I believe are crux to the issue. Therefore, I think that this bill is well timed and to my mind pretty well drafted.
Be it a recruitment agency or a student enrollment agency, they have to be registered under this act, and more importantly, they are also rated. So they are rated in this particular act, so this will provide a basis for anyone who is going abroad to look into what kind of facilitation or what kind of services he is taking from.
Through technology, we will register the migrants as well as the students, and they are not supposed to come and queue in front of any government offices. The idea is to keep it entirely seamless, faceless, hassle-free process.
But how do we check illegal migration?
It is linked to terror, it is linked to drugs, it is linked to money laundering. So control of illegal migration is extremely important.
Awareness generation remains the prime factor. And second important thing is the law enforcement.
Ghata, one of the oldest and most unique percussion instruments of southern India. You can play it not only with your fingers, but palms, wrists and heels as well. You'll be surprised, but the air inside the ghatam reverberates, creating the musical notes. 5 elements of nature, earth, water, air, fire and space make up the composition of this beautiful musical piece, which has found an apt place in most of the ancient books.
Welcome back. President Ram Nath Kovind addressed the 9th National Voters' Day event in the national capital today. The day marks the foundation day of Election Commission of India, which was established on 25th January 1950. The President said people have immense faith in the Election Commission, and the credit for which goes to the Election Commission of India for successfully conducting free and fair elections since its inception. The event, organized by Election Commission, is being celebrated at more than 6 lakh locations, covering around 10 lakh polling stations across the country. Ahead of the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, no voter to be left behind is the theme for this year's event. Chief election commissioners and senior officials from Bangladesh, Bhutan, Kazakhstan, Maldives, Russia and Sri Lanka are also present at the event. At the event, the President presented the national awards for the best electoral practices to officers for their outstanding performance in the conduct of elections.
Reflects sustained efforts for inclusion of all categories of voters, and this year the Commission has selected the theme "No Voter to be Left Behind" for the 9th NVD. This theme carries tremendous significance and import, especially as we approach the general elections to the 17th Lok Sabha. The Commission has taken some new initiatives for enhancing women's participations, and turnout of women voters in the recent elections has been encouraging as a result of that. All women polling stations have been set up as a unique initiative for encouraging wider participation of women in the electoral process.
There is diversity, there is language, there is size, and yet Election Commission doing a remarkable job. We all recall there used to be violence in elections. But today, because of the courage, commitment, and foresight shown by succession of Chief Election Commissioners and Election Commission, that has become something of the past.
And some more news. Supreme Court constituted a new 5-judge constitution bench on Friday to hear the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid land title dispute scheduled for January 29th. The bench was reconstituted as Justice U.U. Lalit, who was a member of the original bench, recused himself on January 10th. The new bench comprises of Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, and Justices S.A. Bobde, D.Y. Chandrachud, Ashok Bhushan and S.A. Nazir. Justices Bhushan and Nazir are the new members in the bench. In a very significant judgment, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in its entirety. A 2-judge bench disposed a batch of pleas filed by companies challenging various provisions of the IBC after observing that the objectives of the law were fulfilled by its provisions. The court, however, said that related parties in the Act should mean a person connected with the business. The Apex Court was hearing a batch of petitions that had challenged the insolvency law on the grounds that it discriminates against operational creditors and their interests as against the financial creditors. And Finance Minister Piyush Goyal said on Friday that Arun Jaitley, who is in the United States for medical treatment, was in good health and recovering rapidly. Union Minister Jaitley will not be presenting the interim budget on 1st of February. In a Twitter message, Jaitley also welcomed the Supreme Court's judgment upholding the validity of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code as a welcome decision. He said that bank defaulters can't get away for long. He said upholding the provisions that bar the defaulting promoters from bidding is both ethical and proper. Otherwise, the defaulter will continue to manage the company with only the banks taking a haircut. And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu inaugurated Apollo Proton Cancer Center in Chennai on Friday. Addressing the event, the Vice President said that advanced cancer treatment must be made available at an affordable price. He pitched for public-private partnership to bridge urban-rural divide in the healthcare sector. The Vice President also stressed up on the need to set up advanced cancer treatment centers and increase the focus on early diagnosis. Talking about the disparity in services between the urban and rural areas, the Vice President asked the private sector to expand facilities to the rural areas.
The private sector is making medical service accessible. No doubt about it, and I compliment them. But it is the duty of not only government but also the private sector not only making accessible, but make it affordable also. Then only purpose will be served. We must see to it that medical facility is not only accessible, but also becomes affordable. This is the duty of both the central government, state government, and also private sector. I feel that public-private partnership could be the model to bridge the gap by providing technically advanced primary and secondary healthcare centers.
India and South Africa on Friday announced a 3-year strategic program to expand ties in several key areas such as defense, maritime security, and trade and investment. Akhilesh Suman brings us this report.
India and South Africa have pledged to deepen strategic cooperation and also signed a 3-year program to boost cooperation. This after talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in New Delhi on Friday.
हमने अपने संबंधों के सभी आयामों की समीक्षा की। हमारे बीच व्यापार एवं निवेश के संबंध और अधिक प्रगाढ़ हो रहे हैं। हमारा द्विपक्षीय व्यापार $10 बिलियन से भी अधिक है। इस वर्ष वाइब्रेंट गुजरात में दक्षिण अफ्रीका पार्टनर कंट्री के रूप में हिस्सा लिया और दक्षिण अफ्रीका में निवेश बढ़ाने के राष्ट्रपति रामाफोसा के प्रयासों में भारतीय कंपनियां बढ़ चढ़ करके हिस्सा ले रही हैं।
South African President Ramaphosa said that the 3-year strategic program of cooperation is aimed at deepening the bilateral engagement between the two countries and that it assures a result-oriented partnership that will benefit people living in both countries. He added that his country prioritizes economic ties with India. India is South Africa's second-largest trading partner.
India is now South Africa's second-largest trading partner. We want to extend this relationship to higher levels. There are a number of areas of future cooperation between our two countries, and some of the areas where we want to extend cooperation is in the agro-processing area or sector. It is also in defense procurement, mining equipment, and technology and cooperation, also in the financial services sector.
South African President called upon President Kovind. Both countries have shown strong cooperation and coordination at several international fora, including the BRICS, G20, IORA, and the United Nations Security Council. South Africa is currently one of the 10 non-permanent members of the UNSC.
India and South Africa indeed enjoy very close political, emotional and economic relationship. But this is a new era and both want to consolidate their relationship in such a way that people of both the countries can take advantage of it, and also political clout of both countries should increase so that peace and stability in the world can be established. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person DK Pandey in Delhi.
In getting you some more developments, calling India its closest and most reliable friend, Maldives has said there is no need for defense relations with any other country. Maldives Defense Minister Maria Ahmadidi said this after her talks with Defense Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Thursday. She also met Indian Army Chief Bipin Rawat, Navy Chief Sunil Lanba, and Deputy Chief of Air Staff Raghunath Nambiar. She is one of the guests at the Republic functions on the Republic Day. She said Maldives wants a peaceful Indo-Pacific region and doesn't want any conflict between pals.
As I said, our closest neighbor has been India, and they've always been there to help. So there is absolutely no need to have any other sort of military cooperation or anything with any other country as such. So far as we are concerned, we are very comfortable in having India as our very close friend because they are our neighbors. Whenever we need something, India is there. We take it like a friend in need is a friend indeed. So they've always come to us in 1988 when the terrorists attacked Maldives. They came to our rescue. Even in the water crisis, they were there for our rescue. So in the tsunami as well. They were the first, amongst the first international responders. So there's this mutual understanding between us.
And that's all we have for you in this edition of News Tonight. For more news and updates, keep watching Rajya Sabha television. Namaskar.